31 to 40 of chapter 6. Sarvabhutastitam yo mam bhajatyekattvamastitah sarvatha vartamanopi sayogi mahi vartate atmaupam yena sarvatra samam pashyati yojuna sukham vayadi va dukkham sayogi paramo matah. Arjuna uvacha yoyam yogasvahya proktah samyena madhusudana yetasyaham na pashyami chanchalatvastitim stiram chanchalam himana krishna brahmati balavadridham tasyaham nigraham manye vayorivasudushkaram. Shri Bhagavanuvacha asamshayam mahabaho mano durnigraham chalam abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena cha grihyate asamyatatmana yogaha dushprapahiti me matihi vashyatmana tuhyatata shakyo vaptumupayatah. Arjuna uvacha ayati shraddhayopetah yoga chalita manasaha aprapya yoga samsiddhim kam gatim krishna gacchati kachinmo bhaya vibrashtah chinna brahmiva nashyati apratishto mahabaho vimudho brahmana pati yetanme samshayam krishna chetumarhasya sheshatah tvadhanya samshayasyasya chetana hyupapadhyate. Shri Bhagavanuvacha parthanaivehannamutra vinashastasya vidyate nahi kalyana kaschid durgatim tata gacchati.
Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryankaravavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We'll read verse 33 and 34 together once.
Arjuna uvacha yoyam yogasvahya proktah samyena madhusudana yetasyaham na pashyami चञ्चलत्वा स्थितिं स्थिराम्
34.
चञ्चलं हि मनः कृष्ण प्रमाथि बलवदृढम् तस्याहं निग्रहं मन्ये वायोरिव सुदुष्करम्
Arjuna is asking, all that you have told till now is perfectly correct. But this mind, Arjuna, but this mind, Krishna, doesn't seem to look like you cannot control the mind at all. And it is taking you for a ride all the time. It pretends as though it is under your control, makes you believe as though everything is under your control. It gives you a notion that you are the master, you are in charge of everything. And then when you are in that state where you assume, something trips and you collapse. Something happens, you trip and you collapse. And Krishna, this is happening again and again and again. It is not only once in a lifetime it happens and we learn something out of it and we get out. So in a day, many times it happens. Day after day it happens. Week after week, month after month, year after year, Janma after Janma, this is happening. In this pathetic condition that I am in, how does all that you say work? That is his question. Are you able to follow? How does all that you are saying is applicable, Krishna? And he is saying how it is applicable means, to me it is clear that it is not practical. To me it is clear that it is not going to work at all. I do not see his enduring continuity in verse number 33. He says, I do not see its continuity at all. I do not see how it is stable. Sorry, how you can make the mind stable. Why? Because of its restlessness. This yoga of equanimity taught by you. What is this yoga of equanimity taught? Samatvam, samatvam, samatvam. He kept on saying samatvam, 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 equanimity, equanimity, profit, loss, success, failure, birth, death, nothing affects. There is an equanimous state. He is saying, how does this equanimity work? To me, it appears that it is not going to work at all. Being a very sincere student, he says why he thinks it doesn't work. He gives reasons. And those reasons are beautiful because those are the reasons that talks about the mind. So, what does he say in verse number 33? He says, Chanchalam. He is borrowing what Krishna said before. Previously, Krishna gave this definition, Astira and Chanchala. He gave this definition. So he is borrowing the definition and saying, if you yourself have said mind is Astira and Chanchala, how does this work? And then he goes on to the next verse to say the 4 characteristics of mind. Restless, turbulent, strong, obstinate. The 4 characteristics of the mind. Chanchalam, Pramati, Bhalavat, Dridam. This being the characteristics of the mind, it is difficult to control as the wind. Why he brings in an example of the wind? All four characteristics is the characteristics of the wind also. All these four characteristics is the characteristics of the mind, and it is a characteristic of the wind also. So he is comparing it to the wind. First is chanchalam. What is chanchalam? Fickle-minded. Fickle. All are interconnected. Fickle. Fickle means changing all the time. Not only it is changing all the time, at every time it makes you believe that you know what you are doing. That is chanchalam. If it is just changing and you are aware of the change, you wouldn't make any decision. You'll be careful. Are you able to follow? Not only it is chanchalam, it is fickle, changing all the time, and at any given point of time, it makes you believe you know exactly what you are doing. So, all choices, okay. If not to paint a very pessimistic picture, most of the choices are made by the fickle mind. Most of the choices, most of the actions are driven by the mind that is fickle. How do you overcome the fickle mindedness? That's what in the chapter Karma Yoga, in chapter 3, he said, by fixing a higher ideal and keeping that as the reference point, the fickleness is avoided. Are you able to follow? Solutions are given first and problem is discussed. That is the style of the Shastra. First medicines will be given and then disease will be explained. It's not that the disease will be explained first and then left for a while and then the medicines will be given. So what they do first, medicine is given. What is the medicine? Karma Yoga, work for a higher ideal, develop identification, etc., etc., etc. And if you do not know why it is given, these explanations come. Why? Because the mind is fickle, chanchal. It's fickle, it's changing all the time. Fickle means it's scattered all over. That is fickleness. Scattered all over. And till the demands are met, it will not. Till the demands are met, it will not stay quiet. It is scattered all over. Until the demands are met, it will not allow you to stay quiet. Drives you to do anything and everything. That is the fickleness. The fickleness. That is why goal, how to overcome the fickleness. I will say the characteristic feature. Simultaneously, I will say what we have seen as the solution for it before. Then you will be able to connect. So what is the thing? So fickleness means chanchalam. So having an ideal, that is one way of handling the fickleness. The other way of handling the fickleness we have seen. The ways and the mean. The means and the end. It says, in order to take care of the fickleness, bother about the means also. Take care of the means that you are using to achieve an end. Whatever be that end. It is okay. If artha is the end, wealth, go for it. If kama is the end, go for it. Fulfillment of desires. If artha kama is the goal, go for it, it says. Abada, thank you. Now only you have said something that is, today only you have said something that is really applicable, practical. It says, wait. The end is all right, but be careful about the means. When you are careful about the means, the fickleness of the mind is under control. Why? Because the mind is scattered all over and it is ready to do anything to get what it wants. In that process of doing anything to get what it wants, it ends up hurting itself. Able to follow? It ends up hurting itself. This is how. So we are drawing a parallel simultaneously so that you can understand. First thing is chanchalam. It moves restlessly in all directions like the wind over the earth. That is chanchalam. Second is turbulent, pramati. Second characteristic feature. Turbulent means turns, turning. That turbulent mind commits crimes. The turbulent mind makes you to do some actions, which are it's like, why it is called turbulent? Because a turbulent wind can uproot the trees, isn't it? The turbulent wind uproots the trees. In that sense, what it can do, the turbulent wind causes the ship to collapse in the sea. On the ground, the trees get uprooted. Meaning what? It will be there for a few hours, for a few moments, maybe for a few moments or a few hours, but the devastating effect it leaves behind, the trail of devastation it leaves behind. Oh my God. Second aspect, it's called pramati, turbulent. So what does it uproot? It affects the body, it affects itself, the senses, the body, everything is affected, turbulent. The third one, balam, strong. Strong here, you have to understand it in the negative sense. He's using the word balavat, not in the positive sense. He's using it in a negative sense, meaning not available for control, not ready for control. Not willing to accept any form of control. That is Balavat. The fourth one, Dridam. Attachment. Holds on firmly. It holds to objects and beings firmly and will not let go. This mind, this being the nature of mind, Krishna, all that you said, how does it help? This being the nature of the mind, how does it help? For the turbulence, you got to move away. The only way to save yourself from turbulence is you got to move away. That's why they say have satsang, good association. Move away from it so that it doesn't gather that. So you are not affected by the onslaught. Wrong. How do you deal when the mind is? How do you deal when the mind gets? How do you deal when the mind becomes strong? What is the method given? When it is strong, what is the method given? The method that is given when it is strong is you don't decide, take guidance and follow the guidance because your mind is strong. That is the, for each and everything, what is the solution given? The fourth one, Dridam, holds on to objects and beings firmly, obstinate. obstinate, dridam. Obstinate means a kind of fanaticism. What obstinate is? Holding on to it. I know it is wrong, sir, but I can't help myself. I know I should not be doing it, but I can't stop myself from doing this. This is dridam. Now this balam and dridam can be used in the positive sense also. Here he is using it in the negative sense. It's unyielding. Unyielding. Unyielding in relation to what? Is unyielding. Unyielding in relation to what? Unyielding to the thing that which ought to be done. It will not allow you to do that which ought to be done. Because that which ought to be done is completely different from what the mind wants. Therefore, he says, Sudushkaram, very difficult. Yasyaham nigraham manye vayoriva sudushkaram. Sudushkaram means extremely difficult. Vayoriva. Vayuhu iva. Vayu means wind. In fact, it is more difficult than restraining the wind. That's what he says. Even when the comparison is given, what he actually is saying is, it is even the wind can be restrained, but this mind doesn't seem to, but the mind can't be restrained at all. Without form, without shape, insubstantial is the wind. Without form, without shape, insubstantial is the wind. That is the mind. Insubstantial. Insubstantial means you can see the eyes, you can see the nose, you can see the brain, but you can't see the mind. You can see the heart, but you can't see the mind. You transplant the heart, are you transplanting the mind? And that is the most criminal thing to do, no? If the heart gets transplanted, along with the heart, if the mind of that person also is getting transplanted, what will happen? As it is, you have a mind, and that mind also comes in, what will happen? Are you able to follow? Therefore, you can see the heart, but you can't see the mind. You can see the brain, but you can't see the mind. In that sense, it is without form. In that sense, it is without. If it has a form, you can easily grasp. And very difficult to, these are the forms. Astiram, Chanchalam, Balavat, Dridam, all that he's saying are the forms. But you have never bothered to sit and understand it in this form. That's why it appears to be like this. It has a form. Why you are not able to see it as the form in the way that it has a form? Because you have not spent enough time in understanding what the mind is. And unless you know what the mind is, you will never know what you are doing with your life. Unless you know what your mind is, you can never know what spiritual evolution is. For spiritual evolution is nothing but awareness of the mind. That's what spiritual growth all about is. Awareness of the mind. In that awareness, it starts behaving. It means you have grown. That's all. That awareness, it starts behaving. These four characteristic features of the mind produces obstacles. That's why I said these two verses are very, very important. Yeah. Make a mental note, physical note, I don't know, however you want to do, but please make a note. This, and it has in 4 types of obstacles. The 4 types of obstacles that it produces is, which is not mentioned here directly, but it is implied. He's saying difficult because he's seeing this as an obstacle, isn't it? He has something to achieve, but then this mind is not cooperating because of these natures. And what these natures actually do, 4 obstacles. You find these 4 obstacles beautifully elaborated by Vidyaranya, by the sage Vidyaranya, in the text. Drik Drishya Vivekan or text. There are so many textbooks. One book talks about one point. Now you don't start Googling now. What is this Drik Drishya Vivekanla? You can Google and find out. Third mantra, you cannot proceed further, for you will not know what is in that book. He talks about those obstacles. Vidyaranya, one of the very great personalities, Sage Vidyaranya. He says, how does this obstacles manifest? These are the natures of the mind. How does it come? He says in 4 ways it comes. It's called Laya, Vikshepa, Ashaya, Rasavada. I'll explain all that. Don't worry about the Sanskrit words. I'm just defining it, and then I will elaborate it. Then it becomes easy to follow. So first thing is Laya. This constant turbulence, churning, running, what happens? What it makes the mind? What happens to the quality of the mind? First is Laya. Laya means dullness, sleepiness. That's why when you sit in meditation, you fall off to sleep. Such a beautiful analysis of the Laya. First thing that happens is the mind becomes dull. Dull means sleepiness. Sleepiness. Why? Because being turbulent all the time, it gets so. Being turbulent all the time, what happens? It gets fatigued. It gets tired. So what it does, when it is fatigued and tired, it falls off to sleep, where it should not fall off to sleep. You should understand that. Where it should not fall off to sleep, it will fall off to sleep. Yeah. Whatever it is, sir, that quality of sleep, even if it is for 30 minutes that we get in Vedanta class, is 30 minutes of sleep in Vedanta class is so superiorly qualitative than the 8-9 hours of sleep, sir. Yeah. This is called the Laya. This is called the Laya. Falling off to sleepiness is not the problem. You should understand that. Are you able to follow? It will fall off to sleep where it should not fall off to sleep. There's the child in the family. She has a problem. She says, the examination hall is so quiet, I fall off to sleep. She says, the examination hall is so quiet that I fall off to sleep. 20-30 minutes later only I wake up. Correct. All the 1 year, all the years hard work becomes useless because of that 20 minutes of sleepiness. Are you able to follow? So first thing is this turbulent nature, what it does, it brings it sleeping. This is one extreme. Mind moves in extremes, sir. This is one extreme, Laya. Another extreme is vikshepa. It becomes hyper, over. Yeah. Overthink. That's what they call as overthinking. Either it will go to this extreme or it will go to that extreme. So the second extreme, he calls it as vikshepa. Vikshepa means what? Hyperactive. In that hyperactiveness, what will happen? It will not do what it's supposed to do and it does everything else. That is hyper. Are you able to follow? The second quality. First is liar, sleepiness. The other extreme is vikshepa.
Turbulent means angry.
Turbulent means constantly churning.
Yeah, what do you mean?
When it churns, it can produce any reaction. It can produce anger, it can produce grief, it can produce frustration, it can produce anything. Turbulent means churning all the time.
Okay.
It's just churning. Liar, vikshepa. The third is kashaya. Kashaya means it freezes. It just goes into a frozen state. Just stands still, not in meditation. It just goes into a state of stillness. Stunned. That's what we say, no? I just got stunned. Sabdi bhava. Sabdi bhava means like that stunned effect. There is the soldier. Vidyaranya gives this example. There is the soldier, goes to battle, is dead. The body is brought back home. The wife looking at the body is not even crying. Not that she is a sthita prajna. Not that she has understood. Najayate, mriyate, va kadachin, nayam, bhutva, not all that. She is just so stunned. She is just so stunned. So, some wise lady in the group, what she will do? You know what they will do? Practically, what they will do? We will take the little child and keep the little child in her lap and say, oh, who is going to take care of the child now? It gets out of that stunned point and starts crying. Are you able to follow? Otherwise, she will be stunned. So, what obstacles? What are the obstacles? Laya, Tepa, Ashaya. Ashaya means stunned, freeze. Nowadays, what they call as frozen state, no? Words differ. The concepts don't differ, but the because mind is the same, no. How does it differ? The words differ. So first one is sleepiness. Second thing is hyper. Hyper means it will consider too many probabilities. At the end of it, it will not act. That's what it means. Hyperactive means what? Overthinking means what? In case of this, in case of this, in case of this, in case of this, this, looks like thinking it is. So that mind believes that it is processing. Actually, it is not processing. What is it doing? It is just when it brings in too many probabilities, what will happen? Again, action will not happen because it cannot do anything. No, isn't it? Too many things, you weigh too many factors, not knowing where to stop. Essential training in thinking is to know when to stop thinking. That is essential. That's what intellect is. You need to know when to stop it also. Vikshepa, it will not know when to stop. Therefore, what happens? It just keeps endless doubts, it keeps bringing up. Vikshepa. Because of this hyper nature, overthinking, overactive. Actually, we should not use the word overthinking here. What is the right word you have to use in this context? Do not use the word thinking. You should use the word mind is just, it's a fancy. Just fancy of the mind, that's all. Just a fancy. Almost like dreaming it is. Almost like a kind of dreaming. It is going all over the place without any meaning. Vikshepa. The third thing is kashaya. Kashaya means it goes into a non-functional state that is neither asleep nor is it wandering. Doesn't function at all. Doesn't function at all. Are you able to follow? It's neither wandering nor sleeping, just comes to a state where it just doesn't function at all. That's why we say, Jadam Madri Pakra they say. Yeah. Jadam Mari Ukandrakra, Jadam Madri Pakra they say. What does it mean? It has come to that state of. Fourth one happens very rarely, but still it is necessary to understand. What is that necessary thing to understand? Rasavada. Rasavada means little bit of spiritual practices it do, little bit of meditation it does, and start getting involved in that. And it starts getting involved in that. Very few people belong to the fourth category, but definitely there is that fourth category. Of the four, we always worry about the third a lot. Of the four, what is really worrisome? That it's neither sleepy nor wandering, but just being stunted, just being stunned is very, very worrisome. That's why they say just get into some action and keep doing some action, whether you do it rightly or wrongly, maybe perfect, maybe imperfect, doesn't matter. But first, don't be in that stunned state. That's why he gives a beautiful example. How to get that lady out of that stunned state? She has to cry. Because in that crying, half an hour later, she will come back to some kind of normalcy. Are you able to follow? So what she will do? She will bring the small child, her own child, put the child on her lap and starts crying. What she will do? And people go and smack that old lady, thinking that she is aggravating it. Actually, she is the very sensible person in the. She is a very sensible person in the whole group. Why? Because getting that person out of that state of frozen state. In extreme situations, mind stops functioning and the pain just gets building up inside. In extreme situations, what it does, the pain, it's not that it has transcended the pain. It's not that it has overcome the pain. The pain is simply getting multiplied inside. So much is there about mind, Krishna, and you are very easily sitting and giving a discourse. See? So much is there about this mind, and you are saying, practice control. Samam pashyati sarvatra and all. So nice to talk, Krishna. But when you know all this as the mind, it is difficult. What is the last one? It starts indulging in the pleasant feeling. That's called rasava. It starts indulging in the pleasant feeling. Some pleasant feeling it gets, and it starts indulging in that. Even in the context of meditation, if you take, what happens? You require a few months of training to just sit in the posture without moving, and the whole body is relaxed. All the muscles are so relaxed. It takes a few months of training even to get to this point. And when the muscles and all is so relaxed, and you are so conscious of that relaxed state, oh my God, it gives such a pleasant feeling. The mind wants it again and again and again. There is a pleasure, there is a comfort. So what the mind does, it does something good, feels a comfort, and then it starts wanting to indulge in that comfort. Wanting to indulge in that comfort. Balavat, Chanchalam, Pramati, Balam, Dridam. All these leads to what? The four obstacles. All these leads to the four obstacles. And these obstacles is that which prevents you from your growth. These are the four things that prevents you from your growth, from your evolution. The question now is, what is the question now? I do not see is enduring stability. 33. I do not see is enduring stability because of all these characteristics and the consequences of these characteristics. One is, this is the mind. Another is the consequences of these characters. There is a character, and then there is a consequence to this characteristic features. Now what do you do is the question. When you feel something pleasant, when you feel something comfortable, see, sometimes even in the classes also it happens. Not everybody will get inspired by all that is said. Not everybody will be inspired by everything that is said. In different periods of time in the class, different people gets inspired by something. And that inspiration itself is so comforting. That inspiration itself is so comforting that turns into a pleasure. And if the person is carried away by that pleasure, what will happen? Next week when I sit for the class, I will be looking for that. You're able to follow? Instead of focusing on what is being taught and understanding, you will start looking for that pleasure in the class. And when you don't get that pleasure, you will go back saying what? Sir, இன்னைக்கு ஃபார்ம்லயே இல்லை. Yes, maybe sir is disturbed by something. Yeah, that's why it is not. Why? Because you got attracted to the pleasure. It's an obstacle. And when a person starts feeling that pleasure, what will happen? They feel like doing it all the time. That's why they say, sometimes you feel like saying, why sir stopped the class so quickly? It could have continued for another, some more time, no? These are the four obstacles. These are the four obstacles, which is not mentioned here directly, but whenever we talk about the chanchalam, pramati, bhalam, dridam, these four comes along with it. The obstacles along, the obstacles comes with it. Though it is not mentioned for our understanding purposes, you need to know this also. Then what happens? Then what happens? You actually genuinely start seeking knowledge. From seeking knowledge because of pleasure, seeking knowledge because it gives you a high, a kick, a pleasure. Withdrawal gives pleasure and people start withdrawing. People start withdrawing because withdrawal gives some pleasure. And Vedantic knowledge is for what? Not to enjoy happiness or comfort in a particular condition, but to be full and complete in all conditions. That is the purpose of knowledge. What is the purpose of Vedantic knowledge? Not to feel happy in a particular condition only. But to recognize your fullness and be complete so that in and through all the conditions. What is in and through all the conditions? Refer it to what he said in the earlier verses. Pashyan, Shrinvan, Jignan, Ashnan, Swapnan, Swashan. In each and everything that you do, in all that you do, this fullness exists. So, how do you counter sleep? It comes to that, isn't it? How do you counter sleep? Gaudapada, beautiful. Gaudapada is Shankara's grand guru. Adi Shankaracharya's grand guru is Gaudapada. Gaudapada beautifully says, how can you manage sleep? He says you can manage sleep only by two things: removing the cause of sleep and also by practice. What is the cause for sleep? Please understand, not the physical sleeper. They are not talking about the body actually sleeping. It is not that. That getting into the tamasic state. Getting into the tamasic state is what they are discussing. Not the actual physical sleep. Don't think that if you are physically awake all the time, it is a growth. It is not that. You will have other problems. Yeah, you will start having other problems. It's not about the physical sleep. Identify the cause for the sleepiness. So the question is, this is the nature of the mind. These are the four obstacles. And then comes the question, what are the remedies? Then comes the question, what are the remedies? அதுக்கு சீக்கிரம் வாங்க sir. Come to the remedies quicker and faster. We know this. And we don't want to hear any more about what are the remedies. And when you are going to hear the remedy of Krishna, you will get angry at Krishna again. As it is, we are very angry with him. And when you hear the remedy that is going to give, you will get more angry with Krishna. And you will sympathize with Arjuna a lot. You will sympathize and you will connect with Arjuna a lot, and very, very difficult to connect with Krishna. Arjuna is asking for remedy because He has not understood what has been told till now. That's why he's asking for a remedy. If he has understood what has been told till now, he will not ask for the remedy. What has been told till now? You have to start from chapter 2. You have to start from Ashochanan Vashochastvam. Then you have to start. And then he talks about Swadharma Karma. And then he talks about Karma Yoga. And then he spoke about Samatvam Yoga Uchyate, Yoga Karmasu Kaushalam. And then the Sthita Prajna. Arjuna couldn't follow. Arjuna couldn't follow what was happening. Because the definition of Sthita Prajna, Arjuna could not follow. Therefore, what he did, when he gave the Sthita Prajna Lakshana, he gave the Sthita Prajna Sadhana also. What that person did to become a Sthita Prajna, sense control, mind control. How do you do all that? Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsaha Sangasteshu Upajayate. He said that. After listening to all this, what did Arjuna do? தெளிவா சொல்லுங்க. மாத்தி 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 பேசக்கூடாது. Say it clearly. What I should? ததேகம் வத நிச்சித்ய ஏன ஸ்ரேயோகம் ஆப்னியாம். ஒரே வார்த்தையில தெளிவா மாத்தி மாத்தி. Don't keep blowing hot and cold. Don't keep blowing hot and cold. And then he went on to a beautiful elaboration of what Karma Yoga is. Ahigaschit kshanamapi jatu dishtatya karma krit. He started from that. And then he went on to say Gahana Karmano Gatihi. And then he went on to say the 12 yajnas. And then in the 5th chapter, he clearly elaborated the sequence. Yogi, Sannyasi, Jnani. A materialistic person must turn into a yogi. A yogi must turn into a sannyasi. The sannyasi must turn into a jnani. So in chapter 5, the sequence was clearly elaborated. And then chapter 6, he reiterated it. He spoke about the meditation posture, asana, and all that. After listening to all that, what is Arjuna asking now? After listening to all this, what is Arjuna asking? Keep aside all that you have said. Adallam we will discuss later. Keep aside all that. Keep aside all that. How this can be controlled? Say that. It's a very beautiful question. We are not insulting or ridiculing Arjuna here. It's a very beautiful question that every sincere seeker will go through. It's a very beautiful, important question that he goes through. And then we will hear the answer. Now he is going to give the answer. Answer padinga.
Shri Bhagavanuvāca asamshayam mahabaho mano durnigraham chalam abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena cha grihyate. Shri Bhagavanuvāca asamshayam mahabaho mano durnigraham chalam abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena cha grihyate.
The Blessed Lord said, doubtless the mind is restless and difficult to control. Doubtless the mind is restless and difficult to control. O Mahabaho, Arjuna, it is doubtless. But, the Sanskrit word, tu means but. Tu, but. Abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena cha grihyate. Quite a few have gotten it, Arjuna. Quite a few have gotten it. And how did they get it? Two methods. Abhyasa, vairagya. Two methods. We'll see all that. Beautiful answer. Abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena cha grihyate. Remember this as a law. This is the law that he is talking about. First, he says asamshayam. Asamshayam. In a conversation, if you want to make the other person listen to you, he's giving a tip here. Asamshayam. Undoubtedly, yes, Arjuna. So first thing that you have to say is
Yes.
yes. In a conversation, if you want to convey your point, first you have to say yes. Abdina, the mind gets out of the defensive mode, ready to listen. In any conversation, what happens? One party comes prepared to defend. Another party comes prepared to attack. Yeah, writing and all we're doing. I tell you, I couldn't control my laughter, but you have to put up a very serious face also because crisis, no, they are going through. They are going through crises. So first thing, asamshayam, a deep psychological impact. What is a deep psychological impact? Say, yes. Yes, you are right. Abdina, all the defenses that Arjuna has prepared has become redundant and useless now. Now he is ready to listen. Samshayam Mahabaho. Don't talk like a fool, Arjuna. Are you able to follow? That man is coming up with something. Supposing if he had said, don't talk like a fool, Arjuna, another 4 more verses, Arjuna only will speak. Arjuna will, because he has to defend. He has to argue. He has to prove. He has to defend. So first psychological thing is what? When a person is going through a crisis and you really want to help the person, first thing that you have to do is what? Say, yes. That's why they say, yes, I understand. What என்ன அர்த்தம்? Understand doesn't mean I agree with you. அது ஒத்துக்க முடியாது இல்லையா? Correct? Understand. Understand doesn't mean I agree with you. The problem in conversation means understanding means agreement. Are you able to follow? Understanding means agreement. Oh, if you have understood means then why are you not agreeing with me? No. That is different. Agreement is not. I understand. Yes. First thing, you simply say yes. So what happens? Now by saying yes, what has happened? You capture the attention of the other. And when you have captured the attention of the other, whatever you say is communicated. Otherwise, the other person is having a defensive wall. And I tell you, very difficult is to say this, yes, sir. As a habit, I have started developing this. Now it has become part of me. You are a fool, sir, I will say yes only. I'm almost like that. You are a real fool, sir. I'll say, yes, first. But then I will say, but first thing is, simply say yes. For a conversation to happen, conflict should not be there. Conversation can happen only where there is no conflict. And if the conflict has to go, what do you have to do? Immediate agreement with the listener. Immediate agreement. Yeah, yes, sure. Simply say yes. Not to me.
Yeah, because you say this.
You are right. Agree. Egos manifest. How does ego manifest? I disagree. I beg to differ. Can say anything. Yeah, he says, I beg to differ. As it is, that person is agitated. And by saying I disagree, now you are making that person more agitated. How can there be a conversation? Like he says, no, you shut up, you shut up, you shut up, you shut up. Nobody shuts up, he says. Both are screaming on top of their voice, you shut up, and nobody shuts up. So here is a method. That word asamshayam mahabaho. From that word asamshayam mahabaho, you derive a message. What is the message? In all types of interaction, whether it is individual, social, national, international, doesn't matter. First is, if you have a message to convey, you need to know how to make the other attentive. You have to make, because just because the person has come, you think you can say whatever you want to know. It doesn't work like that, because the mind has come with a mind always comes with a script. Yeah. The mind always comes with its own script ready. And anything you interfere, the mind is only going to fight back, argue, defend, prove. Idella neutralize pannanuna, what do you do? Asamshayam mahabaho manodurnigraham chalam. All the words that Arjuna used, he is using it again. Because this Durnigraham and all is the word Arjuna. All the words that he used, Krishna is using and is saying, doubtless the mind is restless and difficult to control, O Arjuna. The choice of Arjuna's name here, Mahabaho. Look at the word also. Yeah, that's the greatness of this Shastras. Arjuna will say, at least now Krishna is in agreement with me. Now let me listen to what he has to say. At least Krishna is in agreement with me. Now let me listen to what he says. Now he specifies two means for controlling a restless mind. Because he's going to say something so meaningful, important, the other person has to be receptive. So how did he make him receptive? The mind is restless and difficult. But not impossible. Of course it is difficult. We are not saying it is easy. Where did Krishna say it is easy? He also didn't say it is easy. The way he talks, because of his stature, it appears easy. When Roger Federer plays tennis looks so easy. All that you got to do is what? Just come into the tennis court, what shoes he uses, what racket he uses, what t-shirt he uses. You just come and toss the ball, it will go like that. Nette tandathu. Before it reaches the net, it will bounce 4 times. Even before it crosses the net, it will not. But then he makes it look so effortless. And effortlessness comes out of much effort. And effortlessness always comes out of much effort only. So if something is effortless, means what you should realize, much effort has gone into it. And what is effort? 2 disciplines. Practice, abhyasam, vairagyam. Abhyasam and vairagyam. Abhyasena tu kaunteya, vairagyena cha krihyate. The way Krishna spoke, it looked so, it appeared so Easy. It appeared as though just by listening to him only you will become Sthita Prajna. Just by listening to him, you think that you are, because he made it look. At least Krishna makes it a little bit here and there difficult and all. You go to the Upanishads and all, they make it so simple, straightforward. You feel like Durnirgraham means it is difficult. Anigraham, Durnigraham. Anigraham, Durnigraham. Dur plus Anigraham, அப்படி சேர்த்து படிக்கணும். What does it mean? It is difficult, not impossible. That's the word Durnigraham. Durnigraham means it is difficult, not impossible. It means it requires effort. And what is it? Two practices, Abhyasa and Vairagya. Abhyasa refers to the practice of the yogas. Vairagya refers to the distraction, the withdrawal. So you withdraw, practice. You withdraw, practice. That is Vairagyam and Vyasam. Abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena cha grihyate. Answer is very disappointing. Yeah, he thought Astira, Chanchala, Balam, Dridam, and then we also spoke about, I don't know what all I said. Layam, Vikshepa, Prasavada. Oh my God, something is going to say very important. And then he comes in to say, comes by practice. Comes by practice. In order to practice, you have to withdraw. In order to practice, you have to withdraw. That's why both goes together. Withdrawal and practice goes together. For in order to practice, you have to withdraw. And both goes hand in hand, Abhyasa and Vairagya. Whatever you want to start with, you start with. Either you can start with the Abhyasa or you can start with the Vairagya. But ultimately, both has to be, ultimately, these two has to be combined. What is Vairagya? A detachment. A detachment. Vairagya means your priorities are clear. What Vairagya means? Vairagya means your priorities are clear. That's what Vairagya is. No Vairagya means mixed up. Completely mixed up. Detachment. Detachment from what? Detachment from Raga Dvesha. I have given this definition of Vairagya any number of times. Again, you understand the definition of Vairagya. Raga Dvesha means Raga Dvesha. Raga Dvesha means attachments and aversions, likes and attractions and aversions. You run behind the attraction, you run away from the aversion. So running behind, running away. Are you able to follow? What do you do in life? Either you are running behind something or you are running away from something. That's the Raga Dvesha. Attraction and aversion. Attraction means you run, you chase something. Aversion means ஏதோ ஒன்று பின்னாடி ஓடினே இருக்கணும், ஏதோ ஒன்றுலேருந்து எஸ்கேப் ஆகணும். சங்கர் கரெக்டா? எஸ்கேப் ஆகணும். This is called raga and dvesha. Why you want to escape? Because it causes pain, sorrow. That's why you want to run away. Aversion. So what is life? Raga, dvesha. Attractions and aversions. So when raga is mentioned, the opposite is included, dvesha. You need not say raga, dvesha. Raga means the dvesha is also included. So raga, dvesha means attractions and aversions. Vairi means enemy. Vairi means enemy. Enemy means that which causes harm to you, that which is destructive to you. That is enemy. Who is enemy? Appears to be very friendly in the beginning. That's the enemy, isn't it? You know, have you ever observed that all your enemies were your friends once? You can never become enemy straight away to anybody. You can only become a friend, and that friend turns into enemy. Correct? பார்த்தோன்னே enmity-லாம் வரவே வராது. It will not come like that. Yeah. Maybe you can say, I don't like the nose, I don't like the face. No, you can say, but you will not develop enmity. So who is an enemy? The enemy of today was your friend yesterday. புரியுதா? This ragadvesha appears like a friend and turns out to be inimical. It appears as a friend in the beginning because it gives such a. Why it appears as a friend in the beginning? Because it gives you such a pleasant feeling. Such a pleasant feeling it gives. So much of comfort it gives. So much of joy it gives. Krishna can say what he wants to say. Shankaracharya can say what he wants to say. Ramatirtha can say what he wants to say. Krishna can say what he wants to say. You will turn back and say, what will you say? You will turn back and say, what? I know what I am doing. The tragedy is you don't know what you are. The tragedy is you don't know what you are doing. This understanding is called vairagya. So what is vairi means enemy. Who is an enemy? Enemy is one who was your friend yesterday. So it started like a good friendship and ended up in animosity, divorce, separation, pain. Why? Because of not understanding something. So what is vairagya means now? Such a beautiful word, this word vairagya. Now what is vairagya means? The capacity to understand the raga dvesha in you is your enemies. This knowledge is called vairagya. So what do? You temporarily move away from your raga dvesha. You keep aside raga dvesha for a while and practice. Are you able to follow? What is giving as a solution? You temporarily keep aside your raga dvesha for a while and practice. Practice of what? The three yogas. Karma, bhakti, jnana. What do you practice? The three yogas. Karma, bhakti, jnana. Don't practice meditation. He's not talking about practicing meditation. We should sit and practice. He's not saying practice meditation. He's saying practice the three yogas. All this difficulty is coming because you are not able to meditate. No, Arjuna is saying, I'm not able to Arjuna is saying, I'm not able to meditate. So you tell the person meditate, practice meditation doesn't help. Therefore, what he says, go back to the preparatory practices. Go back to the preparatory practices. What are the preparatory practices? Karma bhakti, jnana yoga, the preparatory practices you do. Now you should not ask what is karma bhakti jnanam. Huh? Yeah. Whatever be it. Yeah. Sadhu, but இருந்தாலும் ஒரு வாட்டி இருந்தாலும் அதையும் ஒரு வாட்டி சொல்லிடுங்க இல்லைன்னா we have to go back to chapter 2 லேருந்து ஒரு வருஷத்துக்கு we have to go back to chapter 2 only. When we will move forward, yeah, we have to keep going backwards only. It is understood. Whatever is karma bhakti jnanam is, practice that. In order to practice that, you need some vairagya, because temporarily you have to move away from your raga dvesha. Temporarily you have to move away from your raga dvesha. And when you temporarily move away, you don't, that movement will not cause irritation, frustration, agitation. Why? Because it is backed by the understanding. What is understanding? This raga dvesha are the enemies. There is no enemy outside. Nobody has any enemy outside. And we all believe that there are enemies outside. No. We believe that there are enemies outside and we have to fight those enemies outside. The enemies are outside, very simple. We can fight, fight. If you can't run away, run away. Problem is sorted out. No, if the enemies are outside. Yeah. Yeah. நல்ல ஸ்ரீகாந்த் மாதிரி 6 feet 6.5 feet இருந்து நல்லா அப்படி இருந்தா you can fight. இல்ல என்ன மாதிரி இருந்தா run away. Like him, if you feel like him, fight. Either you fight or you run away if the enemy is outside. Whether you fight or run away, nothing changes. Why? Because the enemy is inside. Inside means where inside? Inside the nose, inside the eyes, inside the ears. Where inside? In the mind, in the form of raga dvesha. In the mind, in the form of raga dvesha. Therefore, asamshayam mahabaho manodurnigraham chalam. Asamshayam mahabaho, without doubt, Arjuna. Kashtam ottukuren. Kashtam, I agree with you. But if we have some common agreement between the two, Arjuna would have felt very relieved. Some common agreement between us now. Otherwise, Mudaha, Pramudaha, Balaha, he has been hearing all this only, all along he has been saying Pramudaha, Vimudaha, Balaha, Mudatma, deluded, at least now he is in agreement. What do I do? Samshayam mahabaho manodurnigraham chalam abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena cha grihyate. You get it, Arjuna. Grihyate means you will get it. You will get it. You will attain it. How you will attain it? Practice these two. In order to practice karma bhakti jnana yoga, withdraw from raga dvesha temporarily. More you practice karma bhakti jnana yoga, to that extent you can withdraw more. You withdraw, practice. Practice aids the withdrawal. Withdrawal aids the practice. What do you start with? Whatever motivates you, you start with. Whatever motivates you, you can start with. He is not saying either you have to start with abhyasa or with vairagya. Both. Of the two, what? Doesn't matter. Yeah? Start with something. Doesn't matter. There are only two things only. Of the two, what? Yeah. Both are important. Of the two, what? How do you start? Something. Some will start with karma bhakti jnana, some will start. So what it means is,
relatively easy.
Yeah, the question that she is asking is, relatively easy? அது தெரிஞ்சா நான் எப்படி இருக்கேன்? I would have done that. No. Relatively very easy. Correct. Correct. He's saying both are difficult. Samshayam Mahabaho. Yeah. Yeah. Asamshayam Ranjini, I have to say. Yeah. Asamshayam Ranjini, we have to say. Asamshayam Mahabaho Manodurnigraham Chalam. Both are difficult. It's not difficult. All that is needed is all that is needed is all that is needed is what? All that is needed is what? Just some, you just have to get up, that's all. Clear? Horizontal, vertical. Clear? Rendu irukku. Horizontal and vertical. Vertical na? Vertical na இப்படியா? Horizontal na?
Side.
Shankar, படுத்துனே இருக்கக்கூடாது இல்லையா? இல்லையா? படுத்துனே இருக்கக்கூடாது. அட்லீஸ்ட் ஏந்தாவது உட்காரணும் ஃபர்ஸ்ட். First you sit and then stretch a little bit and then you walk. But அதுவே கஷ்டமா இருக்குன்னா no. Divine will not leave you. Life will not leave you. Life will not allow you to be horizontal all the time. If you don't wake up through knowledge and understanding, knocks and shocks of life will wake you up. The sheer pain in the body will make you to get up. Have you ever observed it? You'll be tossing and turning. After a while, the body starts paining, and the sheer pain will wake you up. Abhyasa and Vairagya, if both are difficult, then you will experience the most difficult. What is the most difficult? The pain will wake you up. The pain will wake you up. In the Vedic prayer, what Ramatirtha calls it as the law of Trishul. Ramatirtha calls it as law of Trishul. In the Vedic prayer Rudram, you know, Shiva in that Vedic prayer Rudram is with bow and arrow, not with Trishul. He's with bow and arrow. Every time you slouch, relax, Shiva will release one arrow. Shiva will release one arrow. And the pain will make you to be erect for a while. The Vedic prayer, he says, beautiful prayer, the Rudram. Says, how is it that your arrow doesn't miss the target at all, he asks. In the Rudram, beautiful prayer, Shatarudriya, Kaivalya Upanishad says, you read that Rudra, you will attain moksha, he says. You attain this Shatarudriya means read that 100 times. Rudra. In that he asks, how is it that your arrow doesn't miss the target at all? Who is the target? Venkatachalam. Who is the target? You are the target. Yeah, correct. You are the target. And every time there is a slouch, one arrow will be released. And that arrow will pierce you. At bayonet's point, you have to grow. Life doesn't leave you with any choice but to grow. You have no choice. At bayonet's point, life will make you to grow. Either you have a choice to grow with bayonet's point or Abhyasa and Vairagya. And the choice that you have. But you don't have a choice from growing, you don't have that choice. That choice you don't have. Are you able to follow? So you have a choice. What is the choice? Either you can invite Shiva to your house, or you can do it with Abhyasa and Vairagya. And in this chapter, Krishna's advice is pain, yama. They all need not come and teach you. You can learn it through abhyasa and vairagya. Abhyasena tu kaunteya, vairagyena cha grihyate. Beautiful, beautiful answer. And we'll continue with verse number 35 only. There are some more things also we wanted to say in the context of abhyasa and vairagya. Questionly, and we are not feeling like moving only. Yeah. That's why we came to the answer. And there are these two things, abhyasa and vairagya. And in the next class, we will see how the obstacles and everything can be overcome through this abhyasa and vairagya. We will discuss that also. That's why I said in the next class, we'll continue with the same verse number 35. Very important verse. Abhyasena tu kaunteya, vairagyena cha grihyate. Before you give the answer, what you have to do? Agree. Samshayam mahabaho. Yeah. Jayashree mat agree panninu first. Yeah. Rajaram, correct தானே? First agree பண்ணிட்டோம்னா அவ்வளவுதான். Then everything becomes easy after that. Yeah. சும்மா எஸ் எஸ் சொல்லாதீங்க. She will tell me, சும்மா எஸ் எஸ் சொல்லாதீங்க, ஒரு நிஜமா சொல்லுங்க. She will tell me. संशयं महाबाहो मनोदुर्निग्रहं चलम् अभ्यासेन तु कौन्तेय वैराग्येन च गृह्यते. We'll continue with verse number 35 the next session also.